Welcome to episode 121 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Just want to remind you guys out there that we are on patreon.com/chew on this podcast. And just go on there, sponsor us for as little as $1 a month. It's just $1. It just, charges your debit card or whatever once a month for $1, or we have different tiers depending on what kind of rewards you want. But anyway, support us, support artists on patreon.com/chew on this podcast.
And let's not forget about West Coast Wawa. This is our hashtag.
Let's not.
We said we wouldn't stop when we started, and I really want to stop, but I don't want to be called a liar either. So we're just going to keep this thing going. If this is your first podcast you ever heard us, and you're not from the East Coast, Wawa is like a gas station / convenience store like 7-Eleven or AM/PM, but much better. You can order subs. You can order them now on your phone. You get meatball subs. You even get like turkey stuff. You get soup. You get mac and cheese. Great coffee. So I'm from the East Coast, from Jersey, and I want it out here in California. So we started this hashtag West Coast Wawa for Wawa to start noticing us, but it hasn't happened yet.
So those of you that have listened to the last 52 podcasts and keep hearing this, just fucking fast forward it if you have to. But
or you could just start fucking hashtagging it so we can stop doing it.
Yeah, just like, please just come out here so we can stop listening to these
assholes.
Please do
it so we can just stop doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel the same way at this point.
I'm not even like, even if Wawa does it, I don't think, I might be at a point where the subs don't taste as good as the fact that I get to stop doing this promo.
Either that or you're like, you start taking credit for that being here.
The stop of the promo might taste better than their sandwiches right
now. You're like, I did it. I got him out here. They're like, who are you? We just decided to. Yeah, we just decided to come here, not because of you. Anyway, so this is our I guess our second Chew on This Gets Romantic, and we thought, last time we did it, we looked at a bunch of romance movies, geek or non-geek wise, and while that was kind of interesting, we decided to, instead of just listing off a bunch of movies, because that's kind of boring, we decided to choose one movie that we're going to talk about, and that is Can't Hardly Wait, which is coincidentally almost hitting its 20-year anniversary.
In June.
In June. Who directed this thing? I can't remember. It was somebody famous.
It's two people.
Two people, okay. I think it was like their directorial debut, and but anyway, but there's a bunch of facts about the movie that we can get into, but this was like a time of like during the 90s where they were playing a lot of these teenage rom-coms.
Yep.
And for the most part, they were kind of typical. The way it began, the way it ended was really predictable and stuff like that, which this isn't a lot different than that, but
all romantic comedies are somewhat predictable.
Somewhat, yeah.
I mean, the only one that wasn't predictable, this is why I actually liked it, was My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh yeah, they don't end up together.
They don't end up together, and I was like, oh, cool. They didn't do the typical, romantic comedy, because I can't. Other than that movie, I can't think of another movie that, in a romantic comedy, they didn't really end up together. Can you?
No,
just off the top of your head. I'm sure there's a few out there, but I can't think of any very famous ones where they didn't end up together. I mean, fuck, Richard Gere ended up with a prostitute, so like it happens all the fucking time. And
right.
So in that sense, all of them are basically the same. If there's a love story involved, well, a romantic comedy obviously does have it. They're always going to end up together. You just know it. But what makes the good ones good is the chemistry between the characters and a different kind of take on it.
Yeah, which we'll totally get to in this movie when it comes to that. This movie is kind of interesting because it kind of the way it's designed, it's in one setting through majority of the movie. It's at a house party, which coincidentally was these filmmakers' way of like being way more practical, saying like, hey, this was a lot easier shoot to just do it in one physical place versus doing it all over the place. Right. So in that respect, it was easier, but it also kind of like it presents problems because there's so many times where the characters just leave the room and they're gone, and people can't find each other, which is kind of ridiculous, especially this day and age. If that wouldn't happen,
actually well, yeah. I got to say, I've been to college parties and frat parties and
people just disappear.
Parties. Well, in a house that big, if the house is as packed as that is, it's really hard to find people.
I don't think Jennifer Love Hewitt would be that hard to find, though. I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in a party that big, I've been to house parties where there's 1,000 people in a house.
Holy crap.
And it's not easy to find. So it's not as easy if you're in that situation. And I've been to house parties like way more packed than that.
See, now you could do like Find My Phone, like find.
Well, yeah, I mean now it's like
text them, over. Where are you?
Yeah, you're not gonna get that problem. Like those two wouldn't be locked in the bathroom forever.
Right. They just text somebody, come get me.
Yeah, like I fucking locked in the bathroom, blow drying my cock.
So this movie's predicated on the fact that these two people. What is it? Mike Dexter and Amanda Beckett. They break up, and then the whole school knows about it. And they're all going to this party. Which number one problem for me was like if these two characters are like really popular and they break up, they both fucking go to the party. And I was like, why would this girl go to the party when she knew full well that people would just be staring at her when she got there?
You know what? Like. I gotta say again, like I've been to a graduation party where it was, there was a lot of people there and everybody was there. I didn't even in that summer, somebody would be like, "Oh, were you at so and so's house?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was there." And I'm like, "I didn't even see you there." So
yeah. Man.
So like again, it can happen. It can especially a graduation party. Like that wasn't just a normal.
Are you talking?
That's not like
college?
American
Are you
Pie.
Talking high school? High school's different. Okay.
No, this is what I'm talking about. A high school party.
I don't know what kind of high school parties you went to. I had like
apparently
20,
better than
20
yours.
People.
Apparently better than yours.
Where you knew everybody.
Yeah, like you probably. I don't know. You probably hung out at like a Denny's or some shit.
Which we did.
There you go. So we actually had a graduation party. What was funny was everybody thought that somebody else was throwing a graduation party, so nobody did. And then my friend actually threw the one, and everybody went to it.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
So, but again, like I'm saying, like I was there, and I would talk to people over the summer that I didn't even know were there that were actually there. So again, you can see like my connection to this movie where like things happen. I'm like, oh shit, that's happened to me before.
So I have no clue then.
So like, I didn't get somebody like Amanda Beckett. Because if I did, I would have never fucking left. I would have never left for college. There's no fucking way I get on that train. There's no way I get on that train.
I'm flushing my career down the tubes.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'd be like, Dad, look. Like,
look at
come
her.
on, look.
As she's like asleep in bed, you're like, come here.
You're stalking her.
Pull back the sheets.
Your drone's outside her window.
Yeah. She's still in my bed. Come take a look.
Like, look, Dad, this is crazy. Like, I'm not going to get on this train.
Yeah.
I'll go to community college for a year.
Yeah, I'll just go next year. It'll be all right.
I'm winning right now. Everything's happening.
So
nothing's ever going to be better than this right now. I've peaked. I'm like, well, like I get a degree. Great, that's a piece of paper. Look what's sitting in my bed right now.
I graduated.
Yeah, I've already graduated.
Yeah,
I made it.
What was so in this movie? Like a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s would do that, like montage thing. They like do a freeze frame and then they explain who the character was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like at the end they do the same thing, like where they ended up and shit like that. So each character got some sort of introduction. Like Preston, he's like the main character. He's the one that's
he's in Dutch.
Love. Yeah. He's in love with Amanda, and they do that little backstory where it shows the first time that he met her, and Dickhead didn't speak up, so like the jock ended up with her.
For 4 years, or four.
Yeah,
3 years, right?
the entire high school
years.
career, which it's kind of hard to believe because once you meet her, you're like, she's not the typical like I'm popular, look at me, I'm a bitch to everybody.
Did you have that thing? You're a little bit older than me, but did you have a thing for Jennifer Love Hewitt when she became popular?
I kind of did, but the deal is when I watched the movie, this is so weird. I watched the movie and I was like, why does her hair look like that? Like she had the biggest fucking forehead.
It's very 90s, yeah.
It's very 90s, but at the very end of the film, when she goes to the train station, which we'll get to that, she looks super cute because her hair is.
Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this fucking movie,
10 minutes in.
Yeah. But at the very end of the movie, she looks super cute. Her hair is like all like up in a ponytail or whatever.
Yeah, because she can look. I'm going to tell you right now. In the 90s, when she became popular, that was like number one on my celebrity list.
I think Jessica Biel was mine. I have to say Jessica
That's
Biel
a good
was
one.
mine.
I feel like she was like a little bit older, and like Jennifer Love Hewitt is actually 1 year younger than me, so she's right at my age.
Yeah,
I think Biel might be a little bit older than me, but I'm not sure.
But Biel was like in a wholesome show, but she would do like she kind of broke out of that and did
Maxim.
Like sexy thing, right? And Love Hewitt kind of just stayed wholesome, didn't really.
Yeah, I don't care. I didn't care. She could say whatever she wanted to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She wins no matter what.
So
I'm not getting on that train no matter what.
So they did. They had the graduation. And did you toss your graduation cap into the air like when you graduated? Like toss it way up in the air?
No, and this is how like this is the little Jewish boy in me, because I remember how much the fucking gown and cap were, and I'm like, I'm not tossing this back. I'm not tossing it and losing it. I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, I want this forever. So I didn't fucking toss it.
I tossed mine 2 feet above my head so I could just catch it.
That's just I feel like
it was cheating.
It was. I was like, I felt like if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do what you did. I'm either going to go balls out or nothing at all.
Well, the thing is, if I would have decorated mine, I would have tossed it way up in the air because then I'd be able to find it.
Then you could have find it, right.
But I didn't do that. I just kind of threw it above my head, caught it, put it back on, said, "All right, I did it." Whatever.
I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any of that in high school or college. I didn't toss it. I didn't decorate it. Like I didn't do any of that shit. Now, if I graduated now, like if I did it now, I'd probably put like Rick and Morty on my fucking hat or something.
I ninja starred at someone's head that I didn't like, and then run. Yeah,
I would probably write something like really weird, like a Target, like there would be like a Target sign and say "pee here" as I'm like walking down the aisle. It'd be pretty funny, like just daring people to piss on my hat, something like that.
Yeah, something really out there. So they were introduced to Denise, which is Preston's friend. She's kind of like that stereotypical, like I don't give a shit about the world or anything.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's how my mind works, right?
Uh-huh.
Obviously, Jennifer Love Hewitt is the gold standard at this point for me, right?
Right.
At the same time, I'm looking at Denise and going, redhead.
Well, and like her attitude.
I'm looking way past Jamie Priestley in this movie.
Well, Denise is kind of a female version of you, actually. Like she just looks at
redheaded.
Yeah, because she looks at everything and goes, "That's fucking stupid." She sees through everybody and all the bullshit. And she even tells Preston, "Look, you're acting like a little pansy ass. Like, go get the fucking girl or fucking move on." Like
piss
what's
or
your
get
problem?
off the pot.
Exactly. And he spends majority of the movie. I want to punch him in the dick. Because he just does nothing. He just wastes time talking.
Well, here's a funny thing about this movie. I haven't seen this movie in years, but I know you said you didn't like it. It was painful for you. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I'm remembering all these things that I forgot, and I'm getting nostalgic over it. Like especially the quotes in this movie are fucking hilarious. I used to use 90% of this movie in real life. Anyway, so at a certain point in this movie, Preston just fucking disappears.
Yeah.
It starts to not become right in the middle of once all the characters are introduced and their stories start going, Preston is gone. Like from it.
Right.
There's actually a point in time where Denise is in the movie way more than Preston is, and he's kind of like quote unquote the lead. You know, and his is basically the most predictable part of this entire thing.
And the least interesting. Really.
Yeah, he's the least interesting, and so is she. Unfortunately, as far as characters go, they're really not that great. Like the shit that they do with Mike Dexter, between like him trying to get his friends to break up with his girlfriend, him realizing that he's a dumbass for breaking up with Amanda, and then he befriends the nerd and then goes back to being a dick. It's
that's
a
way
more
character
interesting.
Arc. Yeah, it is.
And then Denise and what's Seth Green's
Kenny,
right? Denise and Kenny's relationship and character. Arc or development.
They gave him a backstory. They gave him,
there was so much more interesting what those two were doing. Who else? The nerd. Who was the nerd?
William Lichter.
William.
Yeah.
He is the nerd, and like his story was great too. He ended up being like the fucking life of the party, making out with like 70 chicks in that night.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Right, but somehow doesn't have sex with any of them. I don't know how the fuck that happens.
Because he's still a
literally having. There's one point where he's like lip syncing or singing. Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
And one of the chicks hears a rumor that his dick is like 12 inches long, and all they do is go to kiss him. That shit doesn't happen in real life. That's probably the most unrealistic thing in this entire movie. That William he doesn't lose his virginity that night to like 7 women. That's probably the most unrealistic thing because every chick wanted him so badly just to make out with him. No, those are fuck me eyes they were giving him.
He doesn't know though, man.
But what would happen because it was the first time he ever like got drunk? He probably would have had like whiskey dick the entire night.
He didn't know,
and would have like ruined his reputation in one night.
He coincidentally that actor, that was the last movie that he ever did. Like he became he became like a law professor. He was in a bunch of movies before that.
Hook.
Like he was in
Hook.
Yeah. That was his big claim to fame. But this movie was the last movie he did. He's like a genius in real life, I guess. Really smart. So it's pretty cool. But Dexter, like you were saying before, was telling all his friends to dump their girlfriends before the party so they can go hook up with girls and whatnot. And I was like, right away, I was like, that's a bad plan, man. I'm like, do it after the party. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, like,
where's the breakup sex, you moron?
You're gonna break up with.
Have
these
you
girls.
Even seen Amanda Beckett? Like, what are you doing?
Like, you're gonna break up with them, and then you're gonna show up to the party only to see them while you're trying to hook up with other girls. That's dumb.
That chick, Amanda Beckett, is easily going to be the hottest chick at whatever college she goes to. Like,
I don't know.
Did you even open your eyes?
I thought Jamie Priestley was pretty hot though, and she's Texan too. I like the accent.
I had a thing for Jennifer Love Hewitt. So
yeah.
Anyway, that was Jamie Priestley also before like plastic surgery, I think too.
Yeah. She looks super young.
Yeah, she looks good in that.
Before My Name Is Earl, right? It was like a few years before My Name Is Earl.
Right. Let's see. The other thing is like this cast. Like you're talking about Jamie Priestley. Mm-hmm. This cast is ridiculous.
Oh, there's
many. Literally like a who's who of like up and coming actors in this. You've basically seen somebody from this movie has been in like something you've seen later on that is very popular.
Right.
You know, you got like the person who played Denise. She was in 6 Feet Under.
Yep.
Right. Jennifer Love Hewitt's been around forever. Jamie Priestley. You even got Jason Segel in this movie.
Yeah, he was the watermelon. God, I was really paying attention to him, and he had this watermelon that was like broken open, and he was stroking it up and down the middle of it the whole time he was talking. And I was like, that's fucking weird. I never noticed that before.
Who else?
There was the guy from
actually, two people
There was a guy from
6 Feet Under in here.
Who was
Eric,
the other guy?
Eric Balfour.
Oh, you're right. He was very like brief.
Yeah.
But then there
Some
was
of
the
Blair's
guy
in this.
There was the guy that was in Sliders and also
Jerry
Maguire. Jerry Maguire too.
Jason or Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell, that's what it was. Yeah, he was
Right.
he had graduated the year before or something.
At this point in time, he was a pretty popular actor.
Yeah.
Let's see. Melissa Joan Hart plays a cameo in this.
Oh, right. The Teenage Witch, yeah.
Jenna Elfman before she, I think, blew up.
Darman Gregg.
Right.
Breckin Meyer, the dude from Scrubs who plays Zach Braff's friend. He was in the band.
Right. Right. He was also in Clueless.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of like cameos. Oh, speaking of the band, that was really funny because that little subplot where the band you never hear them play. It was supposed to be their grand finale or whatever it was they were going to do, and you never get to hear them play because they start arguing and shit.
You know what's really funny? Like right after I finished watching the movie again, I started doing my other half of it, which is usually I take notes while I'm watching it, and then I go through like IMDb to see if I can find anything interesting. So Mike Dexter and Amanda Beckett, their groups, right? They don't have any names. They're group people, like the jocks that he's trying to break up with their girlfriends and the actual girlfriends.
Yeah,
they don't have names in the movie.
No,
they're literally called Jock 1, Jock 2, Girlfriend 1, Girlfriend 2, Girlfriend 3. Like, there's no names for anybody here. It's fucking hilarious that those guys who are kind of in not a major plot, but like a big portion of this plot, which is basically like the aftermath of the breakup, they don't have any fucking names, and at all. Also, every person's group doesn't have a name. So Dexter's group doesn't have a name. Lichter's group, they're called X-File 1, X-File 2. They don't have names either.
Oh, that's
right?
so funny.
Seth Green's character, what's his name? Kenny Fisher, his two guys that he goes to like the 7-Eleven with, they don't have names either. They're called Homeboy 1 and Homeboy 2.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So every single one of the main characters, Preston, Amanda,
their sidekicks don't
all
have
of their
names.
sidekicks don't have a fucking name at all.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Crazy.
I didn't know that. That's kind of
usually like it's a really, really side character. Like if the main character gets pulled over by two cops, it'll say cop 1, cop 2, and then if they have nothing to do with the storyline, they're kept with no names and they're done. But I've never seen a movie where major portions of the character's story they don't have names, but everybody outside of that like kind of has a name.
Right. Yeah, it's too funny. Well, so they start introducing all these characters little by little, and you kind of get like some backstories. Like I know with William, he's like with his buddies, and he does like this like Back to the Future thing where he sets up this like this scenario, this map of the house and all that stuff, and like we're gonna jump Dexter here, and we're gonna like grab one of his friends. We're gonna chloroform him that we made. They made chloroform in science class, and we're gonna chloroform these guys, and then take sexy pictures of them, and then put them everywhere and get them in trouble or whatever.
Right.
And which actually was kind of like, I'm like, whoa, that's kind of not a bad plan.
Dark. It's not a bad plan, but that's kind of dark, dude.
I think it's funny because when he was about to show them the map and everything, he said, "You're going to be Boba Fett, and you're going to be Grand Moff Tarkin," and they start arguing about who's going to be Boba Fett because nobody wants to be Grand Moff Tarkin.
Right. Who did he end up choosing for action figures?
He finally goes, well, fine. He's like, let's just use Kiss dolls. So they use the Kiss dolls instead. That was hysterical. I was like, oh my God, yeah. Everyone always wanted to be Boba Fett. No one wants to be Grand Moff Tarkin. You're introduced to Kenny Fisher. He's like in the what do you call it? The convenience store with his buddies. He's like talking like he's a rapper.
I love Seth Green in this movie.
I do too.
I absolutely love him in this movie.
He's my favorite. He's my absolute favorite. You see that guy that he's the Shermanator in all the American Pie movies. He's like stealing shit throughout the whole movie. Like that's the Easter egg you see throughout the whole entire movie. Right.
There's a couple of American Pie people in here, I think.
Who else besides Shermanator?
Oh God, I have to go back and look. I remember seeing it. I didn't write it down.
Okay.
But there is somebody else in here that's from American Pie.
Oh, wasn't it Kumar? No, Harold. It was Harold, I think. Harold might have been in it. I think so. Anyway, but the thing that made me laugh was that, you know, he was a virgin and whatnot, but yet he acted like, you know, he's with the girls and all that. But he had this like backpack, and he opened up the backpack, and there's like all this like, which is so beyond ridiculous. Like it was bad enough or kind of uncomfortable enough to just have a condom in your wallet, let alone have this bag like full of like, I don't know what was in that thing. It was like,
that's not even the worst. There was like
all
candles
this
and
sex
feathers
toys and feathers,
right, but that's not even the worst part. Like there was even a Kama Sutra book in there. Yeah. The worst part is the fact that he didn't read that book before he went to the party. Like that's the one thing that I would have never ever fucking procrastinated. Like if there was a chance to have sex and I had to read a Kama Sutra book, I would have read that shit like 2 weeks ago.
You would have downloaded porn.
Like I would have memorized it.
Now you just download porn. You know.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to.
But the equivalent would be like I'm downloading porn on my phone while I'm before I have sex. That's just dumb.
Like right before.
Like why would you wait to the last minute for that? Like he's literally like practicing then.
Well, yeah, because he's sitting there and there's that really cute Asian girl and she's like crying because she's like, oh, my boyfriend, I'm gonna you know, screw the next person I talk to, you know, and he falls over and he's like, hey baby, and she's like, oh, he'll do, and then he goes, I need a minute, and he takes off, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You idiot.
Right.
Like that would never happen. They'd be like, let's go.
I would never I'd be like, yeah, hold on a second. Let me go read my book real quick.
I think this thing's
never happened.
I think this thing goes in that thing. I think I can figure this out. So he goes,
fucking stupid.
He goes up to the bathroom, starts practicing sex by all these sex positions, and then Denise walks in and sees him and freaks out, and then the door gets locked and the doorknob gets pulled out, and then they can't get out. I was like, oh God, this is like a bad sitcom.
Seth Green has so many quotable lines in this movie. Like I love the part where his two homeboys, because that's what they call him in IMDb, Homeboy 1 and Homeboy 2. Right when he gets to the party, remember he starts like trying to get with a girl, right? And he's about to go again, and the two guys come over and they start questioning him and they start making fun of him. And he goes, why you gotta waste my flavor? Damn!
I remember that.
And I just love that line. We loved it so much in college that like we used to, you know, whoever was getting drinks, you know, and they'd be like, hey, how's it going? And we would just like randomly shout out that line, like just because we thought it was funny. They're like, hey, did you get laid? And then we would just say that line.
They call him gay, and he's just like, you asshole. He's like, that's the fragrance of love, scented candle, bitch. Damn. He kept saying damn at the end of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of quotable lines, and the way his delivery was awesome. You know, you were kind of annoyed because you're like, dude, you're white. What are you doing? And like,
well, that's what she says that.
Yeah, and she actually says it, and you're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not the only one, you know, that thinks this is ridiculous.
Oh, you know what was really funny too? I don't know if you laughed at this line, but like the same thing with this is the part that's really kind of funny because this would actually happen. But they're on top. The two nerds are on top of the roof of the garage, and they're playing Star Wars with their flashlights. Who every Star Wars fan has always done.
Oh yeah,
doesn't matter. You've always done it. I still do it. So right after he pretends to cut off Luke's hand, the guy who's playing Luke shoves the other guy. And he goes, Luke doesn't push Vader. And he goes, well, he should have. He cut off his hand. I remember the first time I saw that, I just started laughing my ass off. It's so fucking funny that he should have shoved Vader because he cut off his hand. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Someone said in the movie, I'm harnessing my chi. And it immediately made me think of Iron Fist.
When was that said?
Someone says that. He's like, I'm harnessing my chi. I don't remember who that was. Somebody said it. It might have been Kenny that said it, but I started laughing hard because it made me think of Iron Fist. You know,
that's inadvertently funny in the future. That would have had no reference.
No, like back then, you're just like, what, whatever. But when he said that, that really freaking cracked me up. But every time that Amanda Beckett walks into a room, she looks confused and looks like I don't know. She just like kind of enters the room and she tilts her head and her eyes are all like totally vapid and like you can see right through her kind of thing, and no expression or anything on her face. It's really bizarre, and not like any kind of like walk in and you're smiling or you're like, hey, what's up? Just. She doesn't look like she belongs there,
Well, she's wearing something that stands out.
Oh yeah, that tight
not because she's wearing something. Well, not because she's wearing
tank top.
Yeah, but like that blue just stands out at a party.
Yeah, but it's like it's just her expression on her face. Like throughout the whole movie, she has this expression, and then when she'd get a little upset, she would just turn and leave the room. Like every time, just like turn around and leave the room, and she'd be gone for like.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
forever.
Her and. The fuck is his name? I just forgot his name. Preston.
Yeah.
They don't have like a big. You already know what's going to happen with them two. The whole thing with Jenna Elfman was kind of funny because that came out of left field. Because you always knew at some point in time they were going to end up together, right? Like that's always the romantic comedy formula. These two main characters, because they got top billing on the fucking poster. These two characters are going to end up somehow. So what's going to end up happening? Either they're not there at this point, but they kind of know, right? Or something makes them understand that. Then some kind of fucking stupid miscommunication and shit happens, right? Which happens here. Mm-hmm. And then there's a resolve, and then they end up together. That's the romantic comedy formula right there. You just got to figure out how the fuck to put them all together.
Right.
So other than the Jenna Elfman angel stripper thing, which was pretty funny.
The note.
Yeah,
the note.
You already know that she's going to find the note somehow, which I thought that was kind of cool how they got the note out of the garage. I mean, garbage.
The garbage, yeah. Melissa Joan Hart was grabbing her yearbook and it like came out and then they stepped on it. Yeah.
And you just knew that they were going to end up together at the end of the movie no matter what. You just knew it was going to happen.
But see, like compared to a lot of other rom-coms though, this one to me at the end was... when we get to it was really just really unbelievable to me. I didn't. It really was. So anyway, so we're introduced to Amanda and we're introduced to her friends, and which we talked about earlier. And again, like when I saw her talking to her friends, I was like, why is she friends with these people? Like they have nothing in common.
Yeah.
These are all like just girls that are just I don't know, the typical girls that just cared about looks and they were popular and they just cared about whatever, and she just seemed different, but actually didn't end up really being that much different because for some reason, and this is another thing that irked me, was she had no ambition to go to college or to do anything, and Preston is like so in love with this girl, but yet she doesn't know what she wants to do. She's just kind of just floating around. Her identity is like locked into the boyfriend and the friends, and like she doesn't think for herself.
She literally goes from one boyfriend to another.
Right. Oh yeah, there's that too.
Like she says, like she's trying to figure herself out in that speech before her cousin kisses her.
Right.
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 So she literally says, like, if I'm, I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid of this. I was afraid, like, all I was ever known for was being Mike Dexter's girlfriend.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, that's a good starting point to finally trying to figure out who you are. right? And then you read this gushing love letter, and then fuck that, I'm not afraid of being alone anymore because I found this other guy.
It's like Frozen. It's like the same shit.
Right.
Yeah, so that whole the cousin creeping on her was really creepy.
But
even though he was
having said all of that about her character, I'm still not getting on that fucking train. I'm not getting on that train. I'm like, I don't care if you don't have a character arc. If I get to wake up next to you, I don't give a shit if you are afraid of being alone.
I really, after watching this years and years later, I do not like Preston. I don't like that guy. I'm like, I don't think he deserves her. He's an idiot. I really don't. Like when you first watched the movie, I was like, oh, I hope they end up together, and
because he's supposed to play that sweet kid,
yeah,
like that sweet like 80s, protagonist that ends up with the girl at the end. But now there's not much to do.
No, now I'm watching it going, exactly. I'm like, you are the most like vapid character in this thing. And plus you're like going off to this major league college. You actually have this like internship that you're going to, like good shit's happening to you. And all you care about is this girl that you had a crush on for 4 years who doesn't have any kind of future. She doesn't know shit. And you're just wasting your time. And then instead of actually talking to her or whatever, he fucks around and then, loses the opportunity until the very end when he finally does get to talk to her. So many people had hit on her. By the time he went to talk to her, she's like, get the fuck away from me. I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good writing. I was like, oh, that's good.
Well, I like the guy who comes up to press. He's like, hey, thanks, man. That was the funniest shit I've seen all night.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Like, if it couldn't get any worse, that guy's actually thanking you for your misery.
Oh, you know who else is in this? Is Selma Blair. I forgot about that.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
in
I said
it too,
that at the
like
beginning.
really, really short.
Yeah, really, really short. But yeah, it's like a who's who of people in here.
So did you and your partner, your band partner Kenny, did you guys ever fight about like wearing the band name on your shirt?
No.
I mean, what the fuck was that all about? Like they're about to play.
The lead singer was right. You don't fucking wear the name of your band. Like that would never happen. Me and Kenny, if we had T-shirts made, we wouldn't be the ones wearing them.
But like they're about to play, and he turns around and sees him, and he's like, "Ho, ho, ho!" And then they get this huge argument about it. And then
that would never. I can tell you right now, that would never happen.
No,
with me and Kenny, we would never have. Again, if we had shirts made, we wouldn't wear them on stage because you don't wear your fucking band name on stage.
Like even if you did though, you wouldn't turn around and stop the concert. You're like, I'm not playing with you until you take that shirt off. And then he's like, I'm not playing with you until you take that hat off. It's like,
well, the thought of here's the thing: the thought of wearing your own. It's not like professional sports or sports in general
or high school.
Like when you're a musician. When
Yeah.
you're an actual musician, like you don't wear the name of your band. Like I'm pretty sure you could never see like a 50s like black and white picture of the Beatles wearing a shirt that says the Beatles. Like it doesn't, it doesn't. So in that sense, like I can't even fathom having that argument because nobody would fucking do it.
No,
unless you were trying to be like ironic or whatever, and you're a punk rocker or some shit that wants to make a statement about like norms. But still, you don't do it. Find me a band that has the name on their shirt on stage while they're performing.
Like, you live in Sacramento, so you don't walk around with a Sacramento shirt either. You don't like. I don't wear
right. Yeah.
I don't wear ready shirts. But anything else, the shirt makes sense. But they fight and they stop playing based on he's wearing his band name shirt. So anyway, I just thought that was really funny. Like
the lead singer is also
Breckenmeyer.
Yeah, he's in the USA show right now, but he was also in that other movie with Stifler, Road Trip.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was the lead in that. Yeah. Oh, that's a good. That's a good.
He pulls a Storm Halle Berry in this because when he says, "Would you all like a love burger?" he says it like in a British accent, and then you don't hear it again.
Right.
Like it's gone. So he pulls a Halle Berry.
Right.
Oh,
right.
or like Kevin Costner.
Oh, right. Robin Hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So yeah, that creepy cousin, hits on her, and she's like
That guy looks like the guy who
he looks like a molester.
Yeah. I was gonna say he looks like the guy who did Girls Gone Wild.
Oh yeah, he does look like the guy. The
he
guy
does
that
look
runs
like
it.
him, right?
Yeah, the guy that runs it.
The guy who got sued for fucking molesting people or whatever.
Well, yeah, because they were underage. Yeah, idiot.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, kind of makes sense there, I guess.
So anyway, there's a whole sequence where the note gets passed all over the place till it finally lands in front of Amanda. But we finally get back to Preston, and he's like just kind of sitting there. What wasn't he sitting in his car, or he's listening to the radio, and it's talking about Barry Manilow and all that stuff. And
First of all, what fucking high school kid is listening to a station that actually pays tribute to fucking Barry Manilow?
I don't know.
What high school kid is listening to this shit?
Copa.
That's why you're not fucking with Amanda. You listen to fucking Barry Manilow station. You listen to a station that plays Barry Manilow, and you're in fucking high school, and you wonder why Amanda Beckett doesn't pay attention to you.
It's like listening to Yanni right now, or something like that, or like.
Or you're listening to a station that actually plays fucking Yanni all the time, and actually has a tribute night for him. And then you wonder why you're a virgin.
But it was really weird to see him actually like going to a payphone, because like payphones don't exist really much
right
anymore.
He would just use his cell phone now.
Right, so he like goes to the payphone.
I just got an idea for a fucking podcast episode. Okay. Shit that would, like, you watch like older movies, I don't know what we would call it, but like you try to think of every movie that would have gotten solved in like 5 minutes had cell phones existed.
That shit won't happen anymore.
Like Die Hard.
Credits. He just makes a phone call on the cell phone.
Fucking calls on his cell phone.
Game
done. That's it. Let me FaceTime everybody. Let me just FaceTime this shit. Look, this is what they look like. This is what they sound like.
Oh my God.
I'm FaceTiming this shit in 4K. How could you not fucking identify these guys already?
That's so true. So we oh my God. What was
Are you thinking about Die Hard now?
I was like, oh my God, that's so true. We could end so many movies within 5 minutes. Not this movie. Apparently, I gotta fucking call Barry Manilow on the payphone. So like, he goes to call Barry Manilow, and that stripper chick is just like, "Hey, I need to use the phone." And he's like, "Hold on, I'm on the phone." And he starts talking to the radio station. She hangs up. She hangs up, and I'm sitting there going like, "So what? You lost a quarter. Like, just get another quarter, But he doesn't have any more. And then she makes her call, and you find out she's like this like stripper who just came back from a party and had an awful time, and her car won't start, and all this bullshit. And he starts telling his thing. And what was funny is after she listens to him, the cab comes and she turns around and goes like, hey, if you want to be with Barry Manilow, fucking do it, man. It's okay. And he's like, no, I'm not gay. And she's like, whatever, man. Like, to each his own. Like the whole thing just kind of went over her head, She thought that that he was in love with Barry Manilow. It was so funny. But of course, whatever advice that she gives him, of course it's coming from a stripper. He's like, I got to go back and talk to her. I got to go get the girl. So that kind of segues into William being drunk and singing Paradise City, or was it Paradise City or Welcome to the Jungle, whatever.
No, it's Paradise City.
So I read somewhere that actually that was supposed to be Panama by Van Halen, and they couldn't get the rights to it. So
that Paradise City was way better.
Oh, totally way better. And plus, everybody in the theater was singing it.
Frame too.
Yeah, everybody in the theater was singing it. Everybody, I remember that pretty well. And then years later, like what, in Superbad, they got Panama. In the movie. Right. And that was done because what's his name, Bill Hader, started singing it, and so they just overlaid the music. They're like, "Oh shit, it's already in the movie. We got to buy the rights to this thing." So it was kind of funny, but so yeah, he's like lip singing, and all the girls are just like going crazy over him, and they like drag him into the into the closet. It's like all those girls were dragging him in there to kiss him and shit. And I was like, oh man, this guy's going to get laid.
Like I said, no sex.
Nope.
No sex.
They had to keep the thing PG-13, so they took a lot of stuff out of the movie, like little things that would have added up to a rated R. They had to take out. So,
well, we'll find out in a year that they should have done that stuff.
Yeah,
like a year after this movie, we get American Pie.
Yep. Who just kind of blew the doors off all that shit. Like that generation's Porky's, you know?
That's so much better than Porky's, though.
Oh, it is. But that shower scene in Porky's is pretty freaking funny and pretty awesome.
It is pretty funny. And it would never take place in a movie today, in this day and age.
No.
It's like, that got, like... that movie would get so killed, like, on Twitter, that it would never even get released.
No, which is
like,
weird because...
knowing that somebody, like, thought it was funny to put in a movie that it was sexual assault by sticking his dick through a hole in the shower. There's no fucking way that movie
that
gets
would not
released.
happen. Yet you could put, sperm in someone's hair as hair gel. You could do that, but you can't.
Well, that was...
you can't do that.
That was more of a misunderstanding of what gel was.
That was so funny.
It's not like he walked in and, like, she walked in and he shot it in her hair. It was stuck on his ear.
Yeah, that was horrible. Oh,
he's
God.
Like, because you could argue that away. It's like, well, she thought it was gel. I just didn't want to correct her. I didn't really assault her. She thought it was gel. She willingly took it.
Oh my God. It's so funny when William, sees Dexter crying and all that stuff. He tells him, what did he say? He's like, come on, man. He's like, there's 2 chicks out there, man. They're triplets.
Yeah.
He's like so hammered.
And they want you to watch them. So let's go watch them.
Let's go watch them.
I love the part where he turns around. He's like, I broke up with the hottest chick. Everybody thinks I'm a loser, and somebody in there called me a fag.
That's right. They yelled it out. And he's like, looks like he's gonna cry.
The fact that he's like whining. He's like, somebody in there called me a fag. And he starts crying on his shoulders, and William's like, what the hell is going on here? This is I am not okay with this.
See, the other question I had for you is why, once Amanda had the note, what took her so, why did she wait till the last minute to look him up in the yearbook?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Here's as I watch it, like, later on, right? Like, all I cared about in this movie when I was watching it younger, around this age, was, holy shit, dude, that guy's going to get to make out with Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's fucking awesome, right? So now that I'm watching it now, yeah, right, exactly. I hate you, Dutch, right? Which is funny because his name's not even Dutch in that movie. It's fucking Ed O'Neill's Dutch. Right. Anyway, so now that I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking like, wow, Amanda Beckett is fucking shallow. And here's that scene where she's telling her cousin, like, I just wanted to be something different and something more, and like, I just didn't fit in. She ends up being just like them because you find out from that like hippie chick who's cutting the plastic, that it would be typical that Amanda Beckett wouldn't know who Preston was that sat next to her like for 3 straight years. And I'm like, you fucking bitch. I'm like, both of you don't deserve each other.
They don't.
You shallow bitch.
I just want to be different. No,
dude,
you're not different. You're like everybody else.
It's one thing like for me, like I forget more than half the people I went to high school with, right? But this is like 20 years later. That dude sat next, like it just will. That's a graduation party, which means like you have sat next to that kid for 3 straight years, and only now would it have not happened. That would have mean by the time like that night, I would have not remembered anybody in high school like I do now, which would have never fucking happened.
Unless you
like there's nobody.
You drank so much you forgot.
Yeah, but there's nobody in that high school at that point in time, just graduating, could have came up to me and said, "Hey, we were in the same class together," and I would have been like, "Who are you?" That would have never fucking happened.
No, because
that's how shallow she is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a teacher, and most of the kids, after a while, they get to know each other because in the beginning, you have to call out their names, number one, for roll. And after a while, everyone knows everybody. And then, but you're talking 3-4 straight years. That doesn't make any sense. That means you really didn't give a shit.
She's either incredibly shallow or incredibly dumb. It's one or the other. Either way, she doesn't come out of the tunnel looking good. Right. It doesn't matter.
And either way, he really needs to move on. He really needs to go off to college. And
that dude's he's gonna be a writer, right?
Yeah, he's going to a prestigious
he's gonna
college.
Be famous, rich, somebody maybe better looking than Jennifer Love Hewitt. Not as shallow as Amanda Beckett. Not as shallow as Amanda Beckett.
Someone will remember him in class.
Yeah, somebody's going to remember that. Remember you if you sat. If I went to the doctors every month, one day a month, and I sat next to the same person every fucking time for an entire year, so that means I only saw him 12 times, I would remember who that person is. And I'm just talking once a month. How the fuck do you sit next to this guy for 3 straight years every single fucking day in school and not remember this guy? Like what he looks like? How is that possible?
Yeah.
It's just not possible. I just can't imagine it.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, man.
Like I said, she's either stupid or she's like really that shallow.
I don't know. So. I'm gonna go with both.
Oh, so speaking of that scene with William and Mike Dexter, remember he's playing the piano and he gets up, sits next to him. He's like, "Hey, remember that time that you had to make that speech in front of everybody and I kind of sort of tripped you and everybody was laughing at you?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm sorry."
And then he's like, "That was this morning."
He's like, "When did it happen again?" He's like, "Oh, that was this morning at graduation." He fucking tripped him at graduation.
That's so stupid.
I know like Mike Dexter's the dickhead in this movie, but that's fucking hilarious that he did it even on the last day that everybody would see this kid. Like, could you imagine? Dexter makes your life a living hell for 4 straight fucking years, and you're finally gonna be like the valedictorian. All eyes are on you, and this dude still fucks with you somehow. Still ruins your big day. Like that's hilariously like shitty.
That's scarring. That will scar you for life, man. I mean, it's not. I mean, Jesus. Like he shows up,
and here's the second worst part. Dexter has fucked with him so much that he didn't remember that it was that morning. He fucking doesn't even remember that it happened less than 12 hours ago. Like that's how little William matters to Dexter, right? That he didn't even know that he fucked with him 12 hours earlier at graduation. Oh man, that's hilarious.
So we're at the point where let's see. Well, a couple things happen. Big plots. So like William, like the police come and everyone's like dispersing, and like William and Dexter, they take off, and then the 2 nerds jump on him and chloroform. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, wait, you don't recognize William? Like they didn't recognize until after they took the pictures. They're like, oh shit, that's William, and then they just fucking take off. I was like, that's, oh my God, dude.
What kind of fucking friends are you? That's why you don't have names.
I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, and they take off, and I was like, oh, wow. And then you like switch over to like Kenny with Denise, and Kenny is like an asshole, you know?
He says the most dickish thing ever.
I know.
He's like, say? He says, he's like, it's not like you don't like, it's, what is it? It's
you don't like my flavor?
Or something like that, something weird.
Yeah.
What the fuck does he say? I can't help it. I can't help it if you like the flavor.
Right. If you didn't like the flavor or whatever. And I was like, well, I mean, to defend him a little bit, she kind of like, you can't say something like, hey, it gets better after this. It's like, well, wait a minute.
You'll last longer.
Yeah.
You fucking like, bitch. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you don't say that. You don't say shit like that.
Dude's first time and you shit all over him.
Oh yeah,
he fucking knew it too. You knew it was his first time, and you say it'll last longer. You bitch.
Oh man, yeah, you're supposed to be a little bit more supportive than that. Then you go talk to your girlfriends and go, "Oh man, it sucked." You know, it was terrible, but not for the poor guy. I mean,
not right after it's happened. Like wait a day. Right. Give him 24 fucking hours.
Like, I mean, she could have. It would have been worse if she's like, right when he puts it in, she's like, "Are you in?"
Yeah, I guess that could have been worse. Yeah,
I've been in for like 5 minutes. What the hell are you talking about?
I've been done. I was waiting for you.
Oh God, that's terrible. So I know, because I literally wrote at the end of this thing, I went, what is so fucking special about Amanda, really? Like, what is such the big deal about her? She
looks like Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's
exactly. The first time he sees her, it's all about the looks. It's like her boobs entered the room before she did. It's like that's what he focused on, and then he didn't get her, and then he wrote her this like creepy love letter. Like why? Like, that's a love letter is something you would write to somebody if you got to know them and you were friends for a long time, and then you wanted to express your feelings. But he just writes
now we're like, how long are we into this podcast? 40 minutes?
An hour?
How long are we? An hour? Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking. So listen to this. As we're reviewing this movie, and you're talking about all that shit, my mind started wandering. I don't know why. Well, you know why. But
yep.
I'm thinking, like, you know what would have been a better movie to do? Would have been Just Friends.
Oh yeah, that would have been a great rom-com. There's so many great one-liners in that.
So welcome to episode 121. We are going to be doing.
We'll have to save that for next time.
Yeah,
you know, we don't have to do a Valentine. I mean, we could do a romantic episode anytime we want to. This just happens to be like, you know, Valentine's Day. But I mean, but also, you know, Black Panther's coming out, so we can't actually do, you know, the Valentine's Day episode then. So you're getting it a little bit early, but
so you're getting this. Deal with it.
Actually, not too much earlier.
Oh, wait, 2 days early.
You'll
have to wait till next year for Just Friends. We'll have to remember it.
Right, we won't. We'll be on to something else. But anyway, so like everything kind of culminates to the end where like all the plots get kind of wrapped up. You know, Denise and Kenny actually end up, you know, together, sort of.
Twice.
Because
they break up like after the still shot.
Right, and then they hook up in the bathroom again, is what it says. You know, they do this montage thing. Yeah, they tell where all the characters are going. Like Mike Dexter just shits on William one more time, and then it tells his story where, like, I guess he loses his scholarship because he drinks too much, and then ends up working in a car wash or some shit.
But he gets fired.
And then he gets fired from the car wash.
After the Polaroid surface.
Oh, right. The Polaroids. Yeah. What else?
For all you young kids out there that are listening to this podcast, Polaroids. Well, actually, Polaroids are back now.
They're back, yeah.
Yeah, that's why would it be back? You're
about to give him a Polaroid lesson.
Like
more like you should give him payphone lessons. You know,
it was this. Yeah, you actually had to put money in this box at one point in time, and it didn't give you movies. It didn't give you movies or video games. It gave you fucking candy. Other people to talk to. Right.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, which leads to, you know, Preston and Amanda's big thing where after Amanda had told him off and he went home and she saw the picture in the yearbook.
Well, William's backstory, well, not backstory, goddammit. William's future story ends up being basically becomes Bill Gates and starts dating a supermodel.
Right. So good for him. But yeah, so, you know, Amanda sees this picture in the yearbook and goes, "Oh shit, I just totally shit on that guy." And she, I don't know what
who sat next to me for 3 straight fucking years, and I didn't know who he was.
And doesn't call the parent, calls the parents after he had already left to go to the train station. Like, she could have called in the morning or that night and been like, "Hey, let me talk to him." It's like, well, actually, no, it was like, what, 4 or 5 in the morning. So she could have like called. She could have called a little bit, but she calls.
But she decides to sleep in. That's how much the letter meant to you.
She calls the parents and they're like, oh, he's getting on a train. So she rushes down there. And mind you, again, when she shows up there, she looks way different than what she looked like when she went to the party.
You know what I was thinking this time around? I wasn't thinking like, oh my God, he's going to get to kiss Jennifer Love Hewitt. I was thinking like, he drove himself to the train station. What kind of fucking parents do that? To a high school kid who's never gone away.
And you're just going to leave your car there?
You're just going to leave your car there for 3 months? You know how much that fucking costs? Like his parents don't like him that much. Like his parents don't even like him enough to drive him to the train station. And Amanda Beckett's going to like this kid?
Well, and you would think Denise would have been there to see him off, but she says
Denise was too busy with Seth Green.
With Kenny, yeah, with Kenny.
Kenny, yeah.
I'd have been like, Kenny, I gotta, this has been my best friend for years. I gotta, I'm not gonna see him.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Kenny, help me drive him in your big fucking SUV.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we'll get busy with all the sex toys you got.
That was what I thought this time. Was like, wait a minute. He drove himself? Yeah, where the fuck are your parents?
Did you take an Uber? Like, nope. It's funny because we could literally rewrite this movie with all the technology that we have today. We could completely rewrite this movie. A lot of the shit wouldn't happen.
She doesn't have to search for him. All she would have had to have done is go through Facebook and found him.
Right, or call his cell phone. Be like, where are you? Oh, okay, I'll be right there. Don't move. Right,
because everybody apparently knows who Preston is, which means everybody would have had... It sounds like Preston was just as popular as Mike Dexter. But the only person that everybody knows who fucking Preston is. Right. The only person who doesn't is fucking Amanda.
Everybody knows who William is,
Yeah, exactly.
Kinda.
Well, that's because he just got tripped at graduation.
Like, look at that idiot. Yeah, he's valedictorian. Who gives a shit?
But still, everybody knows who Preston is.
That's right.
Except for fucking Amanda.
So, another thing that struck me is that, so she shows up, and she's like, again, she has that weird look on her face when she walks in there, and then she talks to him, and then they're like, this is bad timing, and then she, like, leaves. And he's like, yeah, bye. And then he's like standing there with his bags and he fucking drops them and then runs like a little girl after her. Like he chases her down. And I immediately thought, I'm like, you can't do that. You can't leave your bags there unattended.
Holy shit, I thought the same thing. I'm like, you're going to get arrested.
You're going to get arrested. They're going to think there's a bomb in there.
Could you imagine if you did that at an airport? Oh, you drop your bags and you fucking start sprinting away from your bags.
You would have been arrested. You would have been tackled.
You would have been so fucking tackled. That would have been so fucking funny. In the updated version, he drops his bags. Just imagine in real life if somebody did this. If somebody just walked up to the airport, dropped their bags, and fucking bolted out the door, what would you have done? I would have fucking took off.
I would yell to everybody, stand back, and then I'd run after that guy. Yeah,
and just fucking run.
Yeah,
dude, that's so fucking hilarious that you thought that, because I thought the same fucking thing. I'm like, oh man, it'd be so funny. Like I'm trying to write this movie as I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, and I've seen this movie like 20 times, right? And I'm like, oh man, it'd be so great if somebody tackled him right now for fucking doing that. Right before he gets up to Amanda, just fucking clotheslines him. Like Seth Rogen's the fucking cop in the train station, fucking clotheslines him.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. And then she's like, oh no. But yeah, he just fucking leaves him there, and he runs and like gives her this creepy ass look before he like kisses her. Like his eyes are like all beady and shit.
Yeah,
and then
he got that look like I got candy in the minivan.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "Hi, little girl." He's like all excited and shit. He gives her a creepy smile, and then starts kissing her and shit.
I'm like, Dutch didn't teach you shit on how to pick up chicks.
I wrote down, I like, realistically, as soon as he left that station, she would have met someone else.
Because she can't be alone.
No, she would have walked out of there. The first person that talked to her,
it would have been funny if she got with Dutch. I'm thinking like when he was like creepy eyes. It was like when he was giving Amanda like creepy eyes. I was thinking like I literally thought like, Dutch, why? What the fuck, Dutch? I'm like, didn't you learn anything from the prostitute in the back seat?
All I remember
that's only funny if you remember Dutch or have seen Dutch.
All I remember about Dutch that made me laugh so hard was when the kid was giving him shit. So they go to the restaurant, and he's like, what did he say? He's like, well, at least I could pay for my own meal. And the kid's sitting there, and he's like he's eating this huge meal, and the kid's sitting there with a glass of water, and he looks over him and he goes, your water looks tasty. That just fucking kills me every time.
Or
your water sure looks tasty.
At the end of it, well, not at the end of the movie, but the end of that scene, the payoff is at the end, where they walk out of the diner, and he's like, nothing burps better than bacon. Right after he burped in that kid's face.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right after, I'm just gonna call him Preston because I don't know his name in Dutch.
Dutch, yeah, it's called
right
Dutch.
After Dutch. Well, I don't remember. I don't remember Preston's name. The actor. I don't remember what his character's name is in Dutch.
Ethan Embry. Oh no, I don't know. I don't remember either.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna call him Preston in this movie too. So yeah. Preston's in Dutch too. But like he burps in his face. He's like, nothing burps better than bacon.
It's so fucking cool. But yeah, I just thought, I'm like, this is the part I was talking about at the very beginning of the podcast where I'm like, this is not realistic, because he stays at the train station for quite a while, which is fine. You know, he keeps pushing it off because you can just take a later one, no big deal. But I thought, shit, as soon as he's gone, it's done. That whole like romantic, like exciting thing or whatever it was is gone, because they never hooked up. All they did was kiss, and he left.
In the future thing, they say they talk every day, and
but again, not realistic.
Letters.
Not realistic. Yeah, because the thing that says they wrote letters every day, and they're still together still or whatever. And I was like, bullshit. As soon as he went off to college, it's over. She's
like somebody hands her a romantic Post-it note, and she falls in love with that guy now.
Exactly. She gets Mike Dextered again.
Somebody gives her a smiley face, and she fucking loses it.
She does. She has low self-esteem, you know. And somebody, like, she leaves all like, oh, that was really Preston, so cute or whatever. And this guy,
it ends up being like her next door neighbor of like 18 years, and she doesn't know what he looks like.
It's the parking. It's like the parking meter guy outside giving her a ticket. She's like, no. And he's like, well, you got to go out with me, and I won't write you this ticket. And then they end up together. That's my version anyway.
That Can't Hardly Wait too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Can't Hardly Wait is
I can't wait.
It's pretty much Amanda Beckett's. That's why.
Yeah, I can't hardly wait.
I can't. Boyfriend.
I can't. I literally can't wait for Preston to come back. So I got to go after another guy because this is bullshit. Like
that's how she ends up on Desperate Housewives. I don't know why I just merged Can't Hardly Wait with Desperate Housewives. I just imagined that she would always be like trying to find like the perfect guy or whatever, just going from one to the next, and she just ends up being a Desperate Housewife.
Either that or like Celebrity Rehab or some shit.
No, well, it's Amanda Beckett, not Jennifer Love Hewitt. You idiot. Why would it be a celebrity? Why would Amanda Beckett be a celebrity?
We jumped the shark. We jumped the shark. Oh no, it's got off the rails.
Let's just see how this plays out.
Yeah,
keep going.
No more questions for you.
Anyway,
so how does this thing end? Wasn't it the two geeks get beamed up by the alien ship? Which is, I'm like, really? Do you have to like shit on this movie even more? Like, come on.
That was more realistic than that guy not getting his dick wet at that party.
Or getting tackled from dropping your bags. That's
well, back then 9/11 didn't happen, so
right.
You didn't have that. But like I'm watching it today and I'm thinking, oh man, it would be so fucking funny. Like if they remade this movie today, I guarantee you, like he gets tackled right before he gets to Amanda.
Yeah, he gets fucking body checked, and he slams into a bunch of luggage and goes everywhere.
And then like the whole get together ends up in an ambulance.
Right, exactly.
As they're carting him away, he tells her how much he loves her.
Or she just like says, "Fuck you, you're an idiot." Like,
or she goes with the security guard who tackled Preston.
Yeah, do you like? Wow, that was amazing body check, like just like Dexter. There is one movie that I remember now where that was unconventional. That was The Heartbreak Kid. Did you ever watch that with Ben Stiller? The Heartbreak Kid?
I think I've only seen it once. Remind me again.
Well, like all his friends are getting married and he's being pressured and all that. And then finally he meets this girl and she's like just awesome. You know, it's Malin Ackerman.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Yeah. And he like ends up with her and they go on their honeymoon and she's like awful, just gross, like completely gross. And like, all this awful stuff happens, and he's like, "Oh man, I made a mistake." And while he's on his honeymoon, while she's back at the hotel, sick, like of a sunburn or whatever, he meets Michelle Monaghan, and he falls for her. Right. Well, then she like the whole thing screws up at the end where she finds out he's married, and it's not going to happen. So he's all bummed out, but he ends up divorcing the girl. And then like a year later goes by and Michelle Monaghan goes there with her family again and sees him, and there's spark there again, like this big spark. And you're thinking like, oh cool, they're going to end up together, whatever. And then like Michelle Monaghan character walks off and this other character walks in, and I can't remember who it was. Was it Selma Hayek or something like that? Like shows up and goes, "Hi, baby," and he's like, "Hi," like he went and married somebody else and then saw the other girl again, and he's like, "Fuck." It's like, oh my god. So that was another one where he doesn't really end up with the girl just yet, but that was kind of messed up.
Yeah, I only saw that once.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, to me, this movie, I don't know. For me, it didn't hold up. Like, I was really tedious to watch, but certain parts made me giggle. Like, I was like, oh, that was pretty funny.
How about the part where right before William gets drunk, he's like, "Nobody drink the beer. The beer has gone bad." He's never had fucking beer before. And he thinks it went bad.
Like, what?
He's like, "What are you talking about? It tastes fine."
Yeah, that he's like, "Yeah, I was just kidding around."
I was just fucking with you.
Yeah, I love William, man. William and Kenny were my favorite.
That reminds me, that scene always reminded me of like Big when he goes to eat the caviar and he's like, "Can I give you a drink? Can I get you," like he's trying to spit it out, right? Yeah. And he's like, "Can I get a drink or something? Can I get you a drink?" He's like, "Can I have a milkshake or something?" I'm like, that's not what he meant. But because he's a kid, he asks for a milkshake to watch his mouth with.
Oh God, oh man. I love the movies that you're bringing up way more than Can't Hardly Wait. I'm like, I'd rather talk about Just Friends and Big. But anyway,
Big's not a romantic comedy though.
No, but there's parts in it. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
But anywho, yeah. So that's our romantic episode, which I don't. It's really not a whole lot romantic about it.
Unless you love Jennifer Love Hewitt so much you don't care how shallow her character is.
Yeah, but watch this thing.
It's the perfect movie for you.
Watch this movie and keep in mind, folks, of how many different ways this could have gone differently in today's world, with technology and, all this stuff, that none of this stuff would have happened. But this could be, it could be a movie that could be rewritten today, just for fun. But anyway, it's still kind of nostalgic. I mean, it's 20 years old now, which is crazy. And all those people are pretty famous too. Just about everybody in that movie, even the cameos. So it's, if anything, it's a cool movie to go back to see all those people during that time. Like all their careers like kind of blew up after that. So it was kind of interesting for that reason only. But anywho, for me it was tedious, but it sounded like you
I liked it.
I enjoyed it a little bit more.
It was nostalgic for me. I found it, I realized how many more issues I have with this movie as I've gotten older. But there's still some fucking funny parts, like when they're teaching that foreign exchange student how to say fucked up shit. He's like,
well, that's the other thing.
He's like, "Would you like to touch my penis?"
My penis, yeah. Because that was funny because later on that comes into play. He says that, yeah. But the thing, my reviewer eyes is like, well, wait a minute. Like, he's been there for a year and he doesn't know fucking English. That doesn't make any sense. Because like I had an exchange student.
I throw everything out when I'm watching a comedy, especially something like this.
Because like I had an exchange student and they knew English really well by the end of the year, It's like
you couldn't make him say, "I'm a sex machine."
Well, you do that in the beginning, not at the end of at the end of the year. At the end of the year,
apparently that kid was really stupid. They got a bad one. They got a really bad foreign exchange.
Broken.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyway, again, that was our Chew on This Gets Romantic with Can't Hardly Wait. That was episode 121 of Chew on This and Nerds Unite podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Till next time, folks. Chew on that.
Later.